Welcome back to Finance for Firefighters. Today I'm going to cover MERP and COBRA, how they tie in and how it's a huge benefit for you. So what is COBRA? Well, COBRA is set up basically for any kind of separation in employment and allows you to continue having medical benefits after you've separated. Either you've been fired or you were released from a job or you resigned, whatever the case was. COBRA is set up in a way to say that, hey, you can still shop at the health insurance store through the employer without actually still being employed by them. So that's what the value of COBRA is. Now, firemen are great at workarounds and great at cheat codes, and this is a great thing that they've implemented with MERP to allow you to have an even better benefit through MERP by taking advantage of the COBRA. So how do we use COBRA to make MERP even better than it is? Well, what COBRA does is it allows you to basically stay on paper with the department for an additional 18 months after you retire. Why is this a big deal? Well, there's a few different reasons why this is a big deal. One of the biggest reasons is that the 18 months during that time, you can basically stay on paper contributing to MERP with that same $25 rate. You're paying the same rate you would be paying through your normal contributions, but you're doing it in that 18-month window after you've actually already separated. So even though you've been locked in at a certain amount of things to your pooled trust, you can continue doing it as if you were still working for them for an additional 18 months. So this means that you can still earn ASUs, and you can still earn the ASUs at the $25 a pop instead of whatever that would be if you're 50, 55, 60, whatever the age is when you end up retiring. So you're buying them at that cheaper amount of money. It also allows you to extend the period of time so that you hit that 5-year mark with it. It gives you an additional 18 months after retirement to be able to hit the 5-year mark to qualify for the pooled trust or the pension side of MERP. So why are COBRA contributions so favorable during MERP during that 18-month period? Well, typically, most folks retire at the age of 50, 53, 55, something like that. And all of those actuarially adjusted costs of the ASUs are way more expensive. So an ASU normally during your career is $25 per ASU. At 50, 55, 60, those ages, the ASUs are double or even almost triple the cost of it. They're anywhere from $50 to $60 an ASU. And through COBRA, it's sort of like this loophole you're able to use to buy an extra 18 months worth of that ASUs at the $25 price, not at the actuarially adjusted price of the $50s or $60 per ASU. Effectively, during this 18-month period, those COBRA ASUs that you're able to do through COBRA are $25 versus that actuarially adjusted one. So they're like half the price of what you would normally be paying for them at your current age. Okay, we're going to dive into an example for us of a 25-year person who's retiring, and they're going to be utilizing COBRA to help bump up some of their benefits. Okay, for our COBRA example, like we said before, the COBRA keeps that ASU price at $25 per ASU. So if we're saying the example of this person that has 25 years on the job and they're going to be retiring, on paper, they can continue making 18 months of contributions through COBRA. All right, so they're a 25-year guy, they're retiring, and they've got, at that time, at their retirement time, depending on what their last paycheck says, we're going to say in our example for us, for a 25-year person, their employee contributions is about $179.39 per paycheck. Us, it's based off of a scale that we have in our MOU, but for this 25-year person, they pay 1% of a top step captain, which is $79.06, and plus an additional $100 per pay period. So for us, our employer also contributes to MERP for us. And our employer contributions for a 25-year person is $170.39 per paycheck. So if we take the employee and the employer's part for the total contribution in MERP, the employee pays $179 and some change, the employer pays $170 and some change. So the total amount for this 25-year person is about $349 and some change per paycheck. Now we take the total amount per paycheck and we say there's 26 paychecks in a year. We divide that entire amount by 12, multiply it by 18 months. That person has the ability to contribute into MERP as if they were still working for that 18-month period of time. So if we take that $13,000 and some change and we divide it by 25, because it's $25 a unit, they're going to be able to say that they can earn an additional 545 ASUs for that 13 grand. So if we convert that to monthly income, we say 545 ASUs times the 0.41 equals an additional $223 and some change per month in retirement income. So if we look at this example we just did of this 25-year person that was able to say, hey, if they stayed there and continued to work with the department for an additional 18 months, they would have been able to contribute between them and the employer about an additional $13,000. If we do that and we convert all that stuff over to ASUs and conversion factor, blah, 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 it ends up converting and changing over to a monthly benefit of a little over $225 a month is what they're going to be able to get in that lifetime benefit, as if they had continued to work for that additional 18 months. Now, there's a couple of cool things about this. One thing is that they can either use those leave conversions in retirement and then lump sum through either sick leave or vacation. They can use some of that money that was already moved over there to buy it at this rate. Or they could even take money out of their deferred comp, cash out your vacation leave, sick leave, build up those certain amounts per month on this, and then take an additional chunk either through deferred comp or cash that you have in your bank or whatever, send MERP an additional check for that 13 grand and 13, whatever that amount is that you would do if you stayed there, continue working, and you bump it up an extra couple $100. So between vacation leave cash out, sick leave cash out, and this COBRA piece, you're looking to be able to bump up your monthly benefit by hundreds and hundreds, if not close to $1,000 a month as a result of this. Okay, so there's a few different ways that you can do this COBRA conversion, right? You can either do this through your sick leave, vacation leave, things like that, or you can pay cash. You can pull it out of your deferred comp to pay for some of these things to be able to meet that additional 18 months. You can do it a few different ways. One way is you can just send them the check, hey, I want to convert it and I want to start my benefits right now. Another thing you can do is say, hey, I'm going to pay this slowly over an 18-month period. I'm going to pay 1 month at a time of this amount towards MERP. And then you're actually delaying the starting process of your MERP. So let's say that your spouse is still working and they're still on insurance and you don't really need the benefit yet. You could continue paying this slowly over the 18-month period. And then at the end of the 18 months, MERP will say, okay, you're done contributing all this stuff in there. Here's the amount you've cashed out during sick leave, vacation leave. Here's the COBRA you did. Here's the amount you did normally over your entire career. And now you're eligible to be able to start your benefit. So there is even more flexibility in what you can do with the COBRA piece of it. Either you cash everything out, day you retire, and then start your benefits right away, or you do it slowly over the 18-month period of time to delay it even further for your benefit. Okay, so let's get into another very important thing about how valuable COBRA is for MERP and in retirement. So we said before that to be able to get the pooled trust side of MERP or the pension side of MERP, you need to have a 5-year minimum on contributions. Well, the benefit of having the COBRA piece is you're able to basically bridge the gap in some of that time. So if you have 3.5 years of time and you don't have the 5-year minimum, but you've contributed into MERP for 3.5 years, you can actually use that 18-month COBRA to build up the additional ASUs, and it still counts towards time for you. So if this is new to your department and you haven't hit your 5-year minimum, you can still get 3.5 years worth of this and then use the COBRA to bridge the gap of that additional 18 months so that you hit the 5-year minimum. So you qualify for the pooled trust or pension side of stuff. Another side point on the ability to have 5 years of service, right? COBRA gives you the additional 18 months. Depending on how you structure this with your MOU, you can set it up in a way to where you potentially have the city pay for those additional ASUs to be able to bridge the gap from amount of time for those people that are closer to retirement. So let's say that your local started MERP between you and the city, and you started all that kind of stuff, and it's only been going on for a year, and you have tons of folks that are going to be retiring, within that 1-year period. You can build into some of the language to have the city basically lump sum whatever the equivalent is as if they had stayed for those 5-year periods. Now that's going to be a little bit of a heavy lift on you from your local side of it, because that may end up being close to $100,000 for a leave payout thing for those members. But an advantage of that is that if you have lifetime medical or you have some other thing that the city is going to have to be paying for these members anyway for, if you take that and you say, hey, lump sum these people and now you don't have to pay them this other way, you can just lump sum them and now they're off their books for you. There is some value to them on that end. So there may be a strategic way you'd be able to do this. So if you are looking into getting into MERP, there are a lot of things that you can sort of build into the contract between you and the city that allows it to be good for them from a monetary standpoint, as far as like reducing some of their unfunded liability stuff. And then good for our members to where they're actually going to get a lifetime benefit, even for the new people that may be less inclined to be part of this because they're not going to get as much from it. So there are some workarounds from it. But the COBRA piece is a great way to at least get that 18 months that's already built into the entire system. So let's run another scenario. Let's say that your member has less than 3.5 years and they can't use that 18 months to bridge the gap between COBRA to get them to the 5-year portion of it. You still have the ability to put in that all of that COBRA money on top of those other leave balances if you wanted to. So let's say you cash out vacation leave and sick leave and you had tens of thousands of dollars that was going to be going into that individual account. You can still use COBRA, cash that same amount of money out and actually put that into the individual account and then just invest it on your own. And even if you're not part of the pooled trust pension side of stuff, you still have that individual account from it. So it's another ability for you to say, not just your sick leave, not just your vacation, not just your management leave. You can put an additional 18 months as if you would still been working into that account to bump that up even higher and reduce some of your taxes. Let's go through 4 strategic uses of COBRA. So number 1 is if you're less than that 5-year period for being vested into it and being able to have enough time in MERP to qualify for the pool trust side of it, use COBRA for the additional 18 months if you need that to be able to bump that up to meet the 5-year minimum. Number 2, even if you are fully invested and you have the 5-year amount of time into MERP or more, COBRA is going to be such a cheaper bang for your buck, even cashing out your regular leave. So if you have a lot of sick leave or vacation leave, you're going to be cashing out. Using the 18-month equivalent of what you can do with COBRA to reduce some of that stuff will give you many more ASUs for like less than half the cost of what you're going to be paying for them as a 50 or 55-year-old person. Number 3, plan for the COBRA as far as part of your retirement costs. So if you're going to use it through sick leave, vacation leave, or you're going to have a check of whatever that 18-month amount is to be able to transfer over to COBRA, plan for that in retirement. It's also possible to pull that out of your deferred comp and put it over into MERP and pay no taxes on it. So normally when you're pulling out $13,000 or $15,000 from deferred comp, you'd have to pay income taxes on it. If you pull it out of your deferred comp and that's your economy, you're going to use it on top of your vacation and management and sick leave, and you pull that amount of money out and you're going to put it over into COBRA, you're not going to be paying taxes on it from your deferred comp. So plan ahead for that in retirement and make sure you know where that money's coming from. Number 4, if you can afford to, use COBRA on top of the leave conversion. So if you have sick leave and vacation leave that you're going to be cashing out to buy ASUs to increase your benefit from MERP, take that additional 18 months and plan for that cost, either through your deferred comp or if you have cash in a savings account that you can pull out to be able to put in there. Depending on the level that you need, you want to be able to meet or even potentially exceed what your medical premiums are going to be every month. So if your MERP benefit, if you have it between your leave cash outs, the normal amount you've paid into it, and your COBRA is going to be around $1,500 per month, and you need to be able to add some of those things to meet that, then do so. So COBRA is a very powerful way of building up an even better benefit from MERP, which already has significant benefits from it. You can use it to build up the additional 18 months of time to meet the 5-year minimum. And you can also get the best bang for your buck by buying those ASUs at the cheapest price that you can get them at as a 50 or a 55-year-old person. Thanks for joining me on Finance for Firefighters. Same as always. I hope you guys have a good shift. Thumbs up if you like it. Comments below. I'll see you guys in the next one.